So what happened was, after a little while, as the effects of the LSD started to kick in, I found I couldn't move. I was lying flat out on the sofa, and all that I could experience was this incredible buzzing sensation, which started at the soles of my feet, went up through my legs, went very clearly into my genitals, and then started to go up my body. And it was a crazy experience because I was able to notice very clearly at each energy center, so each chakra, what was happening, what that energy was doing, and it pointed out to me, or I could perceive directly, exactly what that energy center was all about. And if you imagine those energy centers stacked up in your body, then you imagine life force energy moving through those chakras. You can begin to understand how you are an expression of the evolution of consciousness in time and space. It's absolutely mind-blowing. All right, here we go. So my question to you is, would you like to have a much deeper understanding of what your chakra system is about, how it works, how you can listen to it, how you can activate it, and how you can understand yourself at a much deeper level? Now, I'm going to start off by saying something that's going to sound very judgmental, and I know we're not allowed to judge in the spiritual community, but I'm going to say it anyway because I was as guilty as this as anybody else. But there is a lot of same old recycled information about the chakras, same tired stuff. It doesn't really tell you that much, you know, what the colors are of the chakras, which etheric oil goes with which chakra, and maybe which sound goes with it. Apart from that, though, it's very difficult to find some real useful information. Now, when I was first teaching Reiki many, many years ago, I taught what was told to me. I felt that there was a lot of holes in the information, in the knowledge that was passed on to me and then I was teaching to my students. But I didn't really know if I was in a place to do anything about that, if it was appropriate to ask questions like, hey, does anybody actually know anything? So I kept quiet for a while, but I started to feel, really not okay with passing on partial knowledge and partial information. So especially in the areas of Reiki, I set out to find real knowledge and real information so that I could empower my students. And I was able to do that in a lot of areas. And I was lucky because I was able to work with my teacher at the time and other teachers. So I could go quite deep with a lot of stuff, but one area remained elusive for quite a long time. And that was some fundamental knowledge about what the chakra system actually is and how it really works. And I want to try and give you a glimpse into some of that today to broaden your perspective and also point out that knowledge of the chakra system in a way that helps you perceive it directly yourself within your body will actually give you some vital information, some vital clues to what it really means to be a human being at the level of consciousness, but also what it means to be a man in a male body and what it means to be a female in a female body. So we're told that chakra is Sanskrit for wheel and energy moves through it. And people say, okay, something's wrong. You might need to balance your chakras. And there's plenty of people out there that you can hire in to balance your chakras. But is that really what we need to be doing? And does it even work? Well, let me tell you what I discovered and share with you how I got to the knowledge and the information that I currently have today. It's a bit of a crazy story, so hang in there. It starts off with me taking LSD. And I'm pretty sensitive to this stuff. I haven't taken it very much at all, but it has been a very interesting, enlightening, but difficult experience for me. So what happened was, after a little while, as the effects of the LSD started to kick in, I found I couldn't move. I was lying flat out on the sofa, and all that I could experience was this incredible buzzing sensation, which started at the soles of my feet, went up through my legs, went very clearly into my genitals, and then started to go up my body. And it was a crazy experience because I was able to notice very clearly at each energy center, so each chakra, what was happening, what that energy was doing, and it pointed out to me, or I could perceive directly, exactly what that energy center was all about. So what I noticed was, at the root chakra, that energy there was all about my most basic existence, the fact that I existed in the first place. Then that energy went up to the second chakra, and that area was very much connected to sexual energy, reproduction, and a very primal force of energy. But I could also see who and what I was at each chakra. So the person that I am, in terms of this personality and this personal history, is kind of how you experience yourself in your day-to-day. But when you start to feel who you are at each chakra, you realize that you're kind of a different person at each energy level, because it's connected with consciousness at that level, and it's connected to how life force energy moves through you and how it's expressed at each center. So continuing this journey, what I experienced next was that the energy rose up to my third chakra, which is at the solar plexus. So then I experienced me, my will, my life force in terms of my positive individuality, if you like. Then the energy went up to the fourth chakra, so it hit my heart center. And then I had a totally different experience of me again, and I experienced myself energetically at the heart level, and I perceived the human being's just general basic level of connection, which goes beyond the individual. And then this energy went up to my throat, and I could perceive myself there. It went up to my third eye, and that's a kind of interdimensional level here and here at the back. And I, again, was somebody different. And then this energy went up to my crown, and I could understand how I was connected here with everything, with Creator, with universe, with God. So I was able to perceive myself at every different level. And that, I guess, is some kind of Kundalini awakening, some people might say. But it gave me a direct perception of who I was at every single level. And a lot of that stayed with me and has given me opportunity to understand how life force energy moves through our system. And I've been able to take that experience and pair it with understanding that I have around evolutionary spirituality. And that's a kind of framework that can be used to understand enlightenment, non-dual awareness, when we put it into the biggest possible perspective of human development. So let me see if I can stretch your brains and minds a little bit and take you on a journey through the chakra system when seen from the universe, when seen from a God's eye view of things, if you will, when seen from consciousness, because then things become actually quite easy to understand in terms of what it is to be a human being. Because we think about the human experience generally through the eyes of our individual ego. So our experience is day to day in terms of our personality, in terms of our personal history, in terms of our likes, our dislikes. And that's only a very small perspective, a very small lens through which to understand what we are. So to know yourself at a deeper level, it's very useful to take a step back and look at how you got here in the first place. And I don't mean how you were born into this particular incarnation, but how the human vehicle, in terms of its incredible capacity for self-reflective awareness, originated in the first place. Now, I can't explain everything, but we can understand a lot of this in a new way through looking at both the chakra system, how it has developed, how it must have developed. When we put it in a framework of evolution, I'm not talking just about dinosaurs here or any of the flawed Darwinian perspectives, and I know that it's possible to argue against that. But evolution in terms of starting at the Big Bang, whenever that was, some say it's like 13.9 billion years ago, and something came out of nothing. Now, it's a miraculous conception, but if we just go along with that for a second, what we can see is that there is a red thread through all of this. There is an evolutionary arc where, as spirit comes into time and space through whatever this Big Bang was, and we start off with light and energy, which coalesces over an incredibly long time into more dense matter. So suns are created, matter is created. And in those suns, in those nuclear furnaces, under incredible pressure and heat, new elements are born. And eventually, those suns burn out and disperse their matter, creating the first planets, the first solar systems. And the next miracle occurs because on those first planets, within those first solar systems, life exists first at a very simple level. Then it becomes, over an incredibly long period of time, it becomes more complex. First we have single cellular organisms, which then come together to form more complex organisms, eventually multicellular creatures, and so on, and so on, and so on, until we finally arrive to complex creatures like humans. And what's very interesting about a human, compared with other life forms, is that humans have the capacity, so you have the capacity to know that you exist, which is amazing. So you can wake up in the morning and say, I am. So as Descartes said, I think, therefore I am. That is the awareness of a human individual. So that capacity makes it possible in the first place for us to have any kind of discussion around the nature of being, the nature of consciousness. It is because of this capacity for self-awareness that we can say, I am, and that we can begin to grapple with and perceive our relationship with the universe and our relationship with God. And you may say, okay, Justin, interesting deep time perspective on things, but what the hell has that got to do with Reiki? What has that got to do with the chakra system? Well, actually, it helps us to understand how we evolved, not only at a physical level or at a level of consciousness, but also at an energetic level. But we can see our evolution through the chakras. So the root chakra at an energetic level is the fact that you exist. It's the first chakra. It's the most primary chakra. And each energy center stacks upon the previous center. And if you imagine those energy centers stacked up in your body, and then you imagine life force energy moving through those chakras, you can begin to understand how you are an expression of the Big Bang, how you are an expression of the evolution of consciousness in time and space. It's absolutely mind-blowing. Now, life force energy is moving up. It's coming in through the root, and it's coming up. So it goes up through our most fundamental chakra, our root, the fact that we exist. Now, it goes to the next center. So after the universe had given life to the human in some way at the root chakra as an energy center, what is then the most important thing after the fact that you exist in the first place? Then it is the continuation of existence. So the second chakra, therefore, you can see makes sense, is a lot to do with continuation. So it's reproduction, so it's sexual energy. It's the fact that life continues to exist. So before I continue, let's ask ourselves the question, what is a chakra anyway? Well, we can look at it from this perspective and see that as primal life force energy is coming up through the root, up to the second chakra, what these energy centers are, among other things, but primarily are energy transformation stations. So they take energy here and then it gets transformed up through our vehicle of consciousness. Conscious awareness is part of this process of transformation. Life force energy, the basic primal level, goes up to creation, reproduction, sexual life force, and then it will go up again. So the second chakra evolves that energy up, brings it up to the next level, which is the level of individuation. And you can see how it makes sense that the third chakra is all to do with the individual. And in a positive way expressed, that individual is willpower, self-confidence, and inner strength. So when all of these chakras are expressed in their positive form, you see them the most clearly. So the individual self is developing here. We're getting healthy ego, healthy individualization. And then we can go to the next level, which is at the heart level, which is all to do with connection. Because these are our individual survival level energy centers, all to do with existing, reproducing, and sustenance, so survival. When all of those things are taken care of, then this energy can evolve up to high levels of expression, high levels of harmony, high levels of communion. So then it makes sense that at the heart level, we start to feel love, energy, and love for others. Here it's much more familial, it's much more tribal, it's much more mammalian. But now we can feel love for those outside of our tribe, outside of our family. So the leap between the third and the fourth is actually quite a big leap, energetically speaking. So you, as a spiritually aware and a spiritually evolving being, can identify much more easily with your heart center. Here you can put your hand on your heart and say, I can feel myself here. There's a lot of people, if you say, where's your center? They'll point to their heart. So that's a being with a certain level of development, a certain level of consciousness. So the heart center also evolves that energy to go up. And when life force energy can go through the heart center, through to the throat, this area of manifestation, speech, manifestation, creation, can be informed by higher will, higher capacity, higher understanding. So then we can do good deeds. Throat chakra, but we're not finished yet. We can still move this energy up, that the life force energy then can come up to the sixth chakra, third eye. This is our interdimensional capacity here. Here we can travel kind of through time and space. But it also doesn't stop there. Our highest chakra here, in terms of the seven major chakras, is our crown chakra. This chakra points up, right? It's interesting to note. Root chakra is actually pointing down. Crown chakra here is pointing up. These five chakras are more horizontal. So they're energy exchanges on the plane of manifestation. So they're to do with our energy exchanges on planet Earth, with other people, and with the planet, right? So it makes sense that those are more horizontal. Crown chakra is pointed up, because that's linking us again back with the universe, back with Creator. But now back with Creator, with the added dimension of knowledge of self. So now we know ourselves to be an individual, but we know ourselves also to be connected. We are all of these things. So the whole spectrum of energy centers within your system give you access to the complete range of perception, from all the way down from survival level all the way up to God realization. The only thing that's really necessary is that sufficient energy is able to get to each chakra so that it doesn't get blocked and it doesn't get lost. It might get blocked because we're too focusing on our individual self, our individual concerns or worries, what other people have done to us. It might be because we're actually leaking energy out of our sexual chakra, out of our willpower, right? And life force energy is coming up, but then we're leaking like a sieve, so it can't get to these higher levels. So one way you can think about spiritual development is energetically, in terms of how much energy you can actually get up all the way to the top, so that you can come back to, or so that you can get to your enlightened perspective in this body, in this life. Now tell me, is this starting to make a little bit of sense to you when we put it into this new perspective? If this kind of information and knowledge is interesting, exciting to you, then you are very welcome to join me on my platform, be part of our community. So I take you all the way from beginning to work with energy and Reiki. I guide you all the way to Reiki Master, to complete system. And you can come in with zero experience, or maybe you've already been working with Reiki. You can join me at another level. So check out the link below for more information about that. But also leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about my way of approaching the chakra system. Is it helpful to you? Does it give you a different perspective than you've had before? Now, one thing I wanted to point out about this, which is super interesting and fascinating, is that it's the same energy, the same primary life force energy that comes in through the root, traveling through each chakra. It's the same energy at every level, but you can notice within yourself how life force energy experienced at the second chakra, at the sexual center, feels very different to the same life force energy that's traveled up to the heart level. So love energy, compassion, feelings of empathy and connectedness, it really actually has the same root, because it's the same energy that you feel at your sexual center, right? That's much more primary. That's a very powerful energy. It doesn't have any particular inherent morality, but it's the same energy. It's the same energy here. And it's the same energy that we have allowed to evolve up through these transformational energy stations, through the virtue of our own internal work, through our own consciousness, that energy is able to travel up, make it back all the way through to self-awareness and through to God realization. It's the same life force energy. It's incredible when you think about it. Now, you might say, okay, that's kind of interesting, but it's abstract because I haven't had the experience that you've had. But it's actually possible for any of us to learn to listen to these energy centers and to be able to activate them. Now, we can do that through any kind of breath work or yoga or meditation. Now, I do teach some of these techniques in my courses to my students, and they're very, very easy to learn. But what I want to say is that if you are interested, the most important thing is actually where you're putting your awareness. So if you want to become aware and perceive life force energy at any of your centers, what do you need to do? You need to simply put your awareness there, right? So you can do a chakra meditation where you go through every center. You can use your breath. So you can imagine breathing in and out. So if you want to do it now, just put your hands on your heart and take a deep breath. So relax and imagine breathing in and out through your heart center, and just rest with your awareness there just for a couple of minutes. Now, if you can do that, you can also do the same practice with every chakra. So you can start with your root. So you can sort of sit on your hands and just listen and feel. And you'll start to notice how energy is moving there, or you'll start to get some little hints of what's happening at each center. So just imagine going through every chakra, breathing in and out. So imagine you're breathing in and out through every center. Do that at the root, at the second, at the third, the heart center, at the throat, like this, at the sixth center, your third eye like this, and then the crown chakra like this. Just go through this. You can do it in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And as you bring attention to every energy center, you'll start to notice more and more and more. You'll start to feel the energy moving through your system. And you can also notice if there are any particular areas which are blocked, right, where it's not flowing. Now, don't worry about that. Don't try and balance anything. Simply breathe and breathe through it and notice, and then stay there for a while and then go on to your next center. So go through all of your 7 chakras like this. You can do it if you have time as soon as this video is finished. And you're going to notice that that actually feels really nice. So what's the key to any of these exercises? Primarily, it's awareness. Really is that simple, surprisingly so. And it's because of this. Most of the time, we have our awareness on our separate self, right? Our awareness is on our difficult life, our poor me, right? So it's on the ego, it's on the small self. So whenever you do a practice that moves your awareness somewhere else, your energy, your life force energy is going to follow. So when you start to pay attention to your energy centers, they're going to start to reveal themselves to you. Now, if you want to learn, come and join with me. But if you want to do yoga, or if you already do meditation practices, you can start to include the chakras. Simply listening and breathing. It will surprise you at how much you can actually start to become aware of. And after some practice of this, what is super interesting is that you're going to start to slowly understand who and what you are at the level of energy. And from there, you are going to get a whole new perspective on what a human is, what a man is, what a female is, because then you'll start to perceive primary life force energy flowing through all of your energy centers. And the crazy thing is that this information, this knowledge is simply available for anybody who wants to turn their attention inwards. Okay, did you get something out of this? Leave me a comment. If you have a question, I will reply to any questions. And if you want to work with me, learn Reiki, check out the link below and join our community.